What is reactionary? All right, all of the above. So, reactionary is a form of governing in traditional methods, attempting to replace the new practices with traditional ones. Very conservative. Okay, so reactionary actually means right here attempting to replace the new practices with traditional ones. It is a form of governing depending on who's in office. So, in the early 1800s, oh no, I'm sorry, early 1900s, right? We had Hitler in office, right? And he just basically, after World War One, he wanted to relive or reestablish the empire of Germany, right? So he was attempting to go back into traditional methods, and his mentality was just conquer, conquer, warfare, lie, deceive, false treaties, and just keep expanding keep expanding, right? He went all the way into Russia. He really kind of almost defeated, France and Britain and so forth and so on, right? So basically, during the I believe 1910s, right? He was considered reactionary, Hitler. Okay, so reactionary is a form of governing in traditional methods, attempting to replace the new practices with traditional ones. Very conservative, right? One thing to point out here is if you have a system that's functioning properly, there is kind of no room for modification. Okay, but as society grows and as society changes, you might be pushed into a position where you do have to modify certain laws and certain procedures within your political structure, within your legal system, things like that, right? And once we pass these bills or these laws and we're like, hey, okay, listen, we're going to outlaw this, we're going to outlaw that, okay? We're going to legalize this, we're going to legalize that, right? There's also a form of reactionary there too, right? Because you're attempting to replace the new practices with traditional ones, right? Once you believe that these new practices are not functioning to their expectation. So when it comes to economy, politicians all agree that a slow growing economy is the best way to go. If you put any society into a macro change, boom, there's going to be a quick shock. And not everyone knows how to handle change appropriately, and they will find any way to go back to traditional methods. So, uh, one key thing to understand is slow growing economies are the best ways of governing. Okay, so back to this here. Reactionary is attempting to replace the new practices with traditional ones. Very conservative, extremely conservative. So before I end this video, how do you think reactionary can cause warfare? Okay, so let's say you have this growing state here, and they're beginning to adopt traits of democracy. Okay, you're allowed to vote. Here's these offices here. Okay, they're in charge of this district. Okay, now, um, attempting to replace new practices with traditional ones, right? So, we're attempting to slowly integrate democracy into this society that's never been democratic before, right? It's completely unheard of, right? Now you have those that believe in traditional methods. Stay traditional, stay classic, and there's no need for change. We don't need change. Why would we need change? We're perfectly fine the way we are, right? But this can lead to a, we'll say, an unmodernized country. Society is changing every day. Countries are adapting every day. We're modernizing every day. Every day there's higher technology, bigger populations, expansions, right? And if you stay traditional, you will never be able to grow, okay? And you will fall behind. Guarantee you will fall behind. Now, how does this cause warfare, right? Well, think about it. Think about the Middle East, right? The Middle East is attempting to adopt to democracy, right? But then you have these traditional minds that say, no, we must obey the Quran. We must maintain the original Muslim faith, okay, and how they envisioned society to be, okay. So this is how reactionary can cause warfare.